Hey, beautiful people of the internet, how are you guys doing today? Hopefully great, and welcome to the top 10 must-have arcanes of 2022 and beyond. So when it comes to the arcanes department in general, I know that this video probably won't apply to everybody because not everyone has access to all the arcanes, and also there's a ton of arcanes to choose from, and here are 10 that I think that are going to be absolutely phenomenal. Also, if you guys would like to buy some merch, head to the links down in the description, and of course we will be doing shoutouts based off of whoever goes and buys some merch. And don't forget to spot and click the subscribe button for more Warframe videos, and without further ado, let's get this list on the road, shall we? So starting off with our number 1 spot, we have Arcane Strike. Now, this particular arcane is actually a lot more viable than it used to be. Not only did it get a buff where you can now take it to rank 5, but also you no longer have to go and rely on Berserker Fury, because as you guys do recall, Berserker Fury purely relies on you to go and always make sure to go and kill the enemy. Which is fine, but at the same time the problem still does exist where you still have to always kill an enemy. However, Arcane Strike completely negates this because all you need to do is rely on hitting the enemy, and trust me, I'm pretty confident that all of you guys will be able to hit the enemy, whether it's with your ranged weapon that includes primary and secondaries, your melee weapon, and of course sentinels. So as long as your sentinel or any of the previously things I just mentioned hits a target, you'll then be able to proc Arcane Strike with ease. The only downside to Arcane Strike over Berserker Fury is that Berserker Fury offers you 15% additional attack speed, whereas Arcane Strike only offers you 60%. However, Arcane Strike does last around 18 seconds if you guys have a max ranked one. Now, I do recommend that you guys go and get yourself Arcane Strike just so that you can go and free up yourself a mod slot. So instead of like adding Berserker Fury to that one last slot, you can go and add yourself additional damage where it's Gladiator Might, Organ Shatter, or an extra element of your guys' choice. Next up on our number 2 spot is we have Arcane Fury, and just like the previous one, this is another melee based arcane. However, instead of it giving you an increase to your attack speed, this will give you an increase to your melee damage. The arcane does this. On critical hit, you have a 60% chance for 180% additional melee damage that's going to last around 18 seconds. This is another great arcane because, like I said previously, melee weapons are meta. They overpower primary and secondary weapons by a landslide. So more damage the better. And I mean, by you guys equipping Arcane Fury, what's going to happen is that you're basically being giving yourself an additional prime pressure point, except it's a lot more beefier than the actual mod itself. And the nice part is that instead of it taking up a mod slot, it's going to be taking up an arcane slot. So think of it as having like 2 prime pressure points in one single build, except you're going to be getting like around 300% additional damage. And I know that's on a critical hit. Obviously you guys are going to put us on a critical based weapon because, let's be honest, the holy trinity when it comes to stats on a weapon is any weapon that has high status, high crit, and many favors in slash damage. An example of this would be the Grand Prime, where it's got a 32% crit, 32% status, and many favors in slash. And the only way that you guys can currently get this arcane is to go and compete in Eidolon Hunts. Now, I do not recommend this because Eidolon Hunting can be a bit toxic, and I know a lot of people can't really take the toxicity. Like me personally, I get really sick and tired of people and their toxicity. But another way that you guys can get these arcanes is either buying it through other players. I don't recommend that you guys do that, and the best way to get it, and you currently can't do this, is to hope and pray that the Scarlet Spear event does get released or the Orphix Venom event does get released. As of now, we don't know if any of these events will be coming back in the far future. However, I do have a strong suspicion that that is definitely going to return. So if you guys can, go and get yourself Arcane Fury. If you guys would like to know how to do Eidolon Hunts, head to the links down in the description, and I'll suggest that particular video to you guys to the top right. Taking up our number 3 spot is Arcane Nullifier, and this particular arcane is only good against Eidolon Hunting simply because of what it offers, and that is a guaranteed chance to resist magnetic damage. And if you guys have been living under a rock, Eidolons eat, sleep, and breathe magnetic damage. In fact, the lakes themselves are all fully magnetized, and if you guys didn't know, if you get hit by magnetic damage, it'll take around 40 to 60% of your total energy pool away from you. In other words, it'll limit the amount of times you'll be able to go and use your abilities. And trust me, that is probably one of the worst things to happen to you, just because of how reliant you guys are on your abilities when it comes to taking out those Eidolon limbs. So definitely worth having, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys that it is the most powerful arcane to use against nullifiers or nullifiers. I'm not going to turn around and tell you guys that this is the most powerful arcane to use against Eidolons themselves, but definitely a good one to have, because if you're going to be dealing with a lot of magnetic damage, why not go and, you know, have it. For our number 4 spot is we have Arcane Grays, and this particular arcane excels at tanky frames, specifically Inaros or Naios, just because they've got no shields and any form of damage they receive will go directly to their health. And that's exactly how Arcane Grays is designed. Frames like Valkyrie do excel pretty decently, but fail compared to like Inaros or Naios, just because you run a bit of a risk. So in order to proc this arcane, the enemies have to go through your shield, and then you basically have to let them hit you directly. And trust me, that is quite risky when it comes to Warframe, especially in the high end levels where the enemies actually hit you very, very hard. And as per the description of this particular arcane, on health damaged, you have a 9% chance for 6% health regeneration per second. So in other words, the enemies have to hit you very hard directly to your health, which is very, very risky because it's only a 9% chance to proc this. And then on top of that, 6% of whatever your total health is will then be converted into healing per second, and this will be activated for 9 seconds. So like I said previously, only use this particular arcane for both Inaros and Naios, just because those frames are designed to take health directly to, or damage directly to their health. Taking up our number 5 spot is Mage Anomaly. So this is an operator exclusive arcane, however, it can be used in combination with the previous ones I have just mentioned. And the way it works is on transference, or in other words, when you guys enter your operator form, enemies within a 30-meter radius will then be pulled towards your Warframe. And yes, this arcane is spammable. So in other words, let's say you guys have a big room and there's enemies all over the room. You can spam Mage Anomaly and group all of them up in one single setting, which will then go and provide you with a teensy bit of crowd control. However, that is not the reason why you want to use Mage Anomaly. You want to use it because you don't want to, like, you want to kill multiple enemies. And the way that you guys can do this is you take your most powerful melee weapon, and like I've said previously, your most powerful melee weapon should consist of these 3 categories. I like to refer to them as the holy trinity of melee. A weapon that has by default high crit, high status, and mostly favors end slash damage. That right there is your holy trinity of melee damage. And the nice thing with Mage Anomaly, you do not have to worry about your combo counter expiring, because Mage Anomaly will be able to replenish that in a matter of 5 or 6 swings. On our number 6 spot, we have Mage's Lockdown, and this is another operator exclusive arcane, just like Mage's Anomaly. However, it does something completely different. So Mage's Lockdown offers you crowd control, and this crowd control is actually very, very good, because let's say that a sticky situation arises and you need to get out of there. Well, Mage's Lockdown is your best friend. So the way it works is you drop a mine that can tether up to 10 enemies in a 15-meter radius for 4 seconds. So yeah, in other words, you put the enemies to sleep in a 15-meter radius if you avoid dash, and then you can get out of there and recuperate your health back to 100% and continue fighting. Now, I do know that Mage's Lockdown at some point was actually extremely powerful and it did get nerfed. A lot of people will turn around and tell me that this is a useless arcane, and I disagree. Having that extra level of crowd control on a frame that's very squishy on a high end level can actually be very, very, very useful. Coming in at number 7 spot is Paxseeker. Now, this is a KitCon exclusive arcane, and let me tell you, I love everything about this arcane. So there's a certain secondary I like to use. It's got the Catchmoon barrel with the haymaker grip, and I can't remember what the other part is, but I'll make a video on it sometime in the future. So Paxseeker is basically this arcane where if you headshot kill an enemy, there's a guaranteed chance that it's going to release 4 homecoming projectiles that goes and targets the enemy's head, dealing crazy amounts of damage. In other words, you headshot kill one enemy, right? And then what's going to happen is that the rest of the groups that are close by will then be killed immediately. Following up our number 8 spot, we have Exodia Contagion. This is the most rarest arcane in the entire game. And the reason for that is because the only way to go and obtain Exodia Contagion is to go and get it from the Plague Star event. And the Plague Star event comes around once in a blue moon. So We really don't know when it comes out, but Digital Extremes usually does tell us when it's coming out, about say a month or a week before advance. I don't know. The point is, we're always being told with a good amount of time before the actual event. Now, Exodia Contagion is an exclusive arcane that can be equipped on your Zors. However, it gets a little bit more complicated than that. Not only do you put only on Zors, but also you need to have special Zor heads or special Zor pieces to go and put on this arcane. And once again, those special Zor heads can only be obtained from the Plague Star event. Now, I'm not going to tell you guys that you're going to be missing out on a lot, but if you guys build Exodia Contagion correctly, you can deal a ton of damage. And what it does is basically, after a bullet jump or normal double jump and you do a melee attack, what's going to happen is you'll launch this projectile that explodes on impact, and the much further distance the projectile itself travels, the more damage it will get. So in other words, if the impact or if the projectile itself travels more than 30 meters, you'll gain 400% additional damage, and trust me, that is a lot of damage. Moving on to our number 9 spot, we have Arcane Guardian. Just like Grace, Arcane Guardian is specifically designed for tanky frames like Inaros, Nidus, Valkyr, except Guardian is actually a lot more effective than Grace is. Before, Grace used to be a lot more powerful and cost a lot more than Guardian, but after the update and buffs to Guardian and nerfs to Grace, Guardian legitimately surpassed Grace, just like how Goku surpasses Vegeta every single time. But anyways, that is what it is. So when it comes to Guardian, here's exactly what it does. So on damage, there's a 15% chance for 900 armor for 20 seconds. So what I like about Guardian over Grace is that it's less risky. So in order to activate Guardian, you do not have to take damage directly to your health. Shield damage does count. So long as you have received some form of damage, you'll then have a chance to activate Arcane Guardian. And I do know that the chance is still low, 15% still is a low chance, but it is still a lot more higher than Arcane Grace. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Arcane Energize. This is the most powerful arcane in the entire market when it comes to arcanes. Not only is it a huge game changer, but also it is worth a ton of platinum, and it's very rare to go and get. You can only get this arcane from Eidolon Hunts, and you have to be extremely lucky. You can also get this from the Nightwave as well, and also from Scarlet Spear along with Orphix Venom. Arcane Energize definitely worth getting because you can legitimately go and build for a negative efficiency build and not worry about energy. Combine this with Energy Siphon and Generic, you'll never worry about energy ever again. You can legitimately discard efficiency, have a ton of range, blind rage or strength, whatever you guys prefer to build that you're sacrificing so much efficiency for, and you never ever have to worry about it. So the way it works is, on energy pickup, you have a 60% chance to replenish your energy to nearby allies. The description is slightly misleading. Now, we're not worried about allies, okay? These are arcanes purely meant for our own playstyle. But if your allies are close by, whatever benefits that Arcane Energize gives you, then your teammates will also receive it. So Arcane Energize, a humongous game changer just because of how Warframes work. All our Warframes rely on one single source. Of course, there are those ones with a small exception that, some that only rely on shields, some that only rely on, stacks or whatever the case is. Most of our Warframes rely so much on energy, and Arcane Energize just allows us to always have energy throughout the entire mission. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's all for today's video. If you guys have liked the video, or if it helps you out in any way or form, remember to leave a like, and don't forget to spot and click the subscribe button for more Warframe videos. I'm make like a banana and split.